I want to get into the literature, worldly, and spiritual point of view that a lot of people pick up, misconstrue, either sway or misinterpret when it comes to the Word of God. Just yesterday, I was listening to a member of his own church talk about the nation of Iceland. So he named his sermon, Iceland, the Nation of Bastards. And in the King James Version, it does have the word bastard. It has it in Deuteronomy. It has it in Ezekiel. Okay? And as you will see, the literature in different other terms and in different Bibles mean a different thing. So, who is and what is the word bastard? People will look at it in a worldly point of view, and how he looked at it was that the high rate of people having kids without being married out of wedlock and all this other stuff was very high in Iceland. America wasn't too far behind with 40%, which made them half a bastard. Okay, so with that being said, he went into a worldly point of view, which was a good teaching. To me, I started laughing because he was going hard, he was going in. But there is a morality and a worldly point of view to that how you conduct yourself and don't be sexually immoral and all this other stuff. But then he takes the bastard thing to a whole different level. All right, and that is in a worldly point of view of the immorality, the sexual morality, and all this other stuff. Now that's good. That is good in a point of way because he's looking at it. But let's look at the word bastard in a spiritual point of view. Spiritual point of view is to be cut off and not a part of. So if spiritually God had said don't be with those bastards and all this other stuff, spiritually, this is why I talk in a worldly and spiritual point of view, so that way everybody could be connected and not misconstrued. Spiritually means that this is what this nation did. They're not of me. They're either of the characteristics or the seed of Satan. So those are bastards. They're not of me. Now that's the spiritual meaning. So let's tie in the worldly meaning of the immorality of not having kids and being married, and then carrying the characteristics. Which one is the bigger piece of pie or the whole cake? You're going to get the whole piece of pie, the whole pie, all right, off of carrying the characteristics spiritually. Because if you're already doing everything spiritually and one with the Lord, then you're not a bastard. Anybody who carries anything outside of those laws become a bastard. But that is the literature in King James time. And if you don't know the history, yes, King James was Semitic and black. I do not know too much of what atrocities, whatever he did, but he was. I think I've showed that in my other videos with the coins and all that other stuff. Being that said, all right, back then, we also see scientists just came out a couple of weeks ago with a report that nation was fathered by one Caucasian male, the half of Western Europe, all right, half of Europe, of Western Europe, all right, all of Western Europe, half of it. So to break this all down to you, back then there was an atrocity of everybody sleeping and doubling up and the population just growing. So that could have been put in there for those purposes. So we don't understand. I understand the spiritual meaning, and I know what he was preaching about in the worldly meaning, but the literature will always trip you up. So you need to get the literature right in what you read. This is where you discern yourself within one with the Word of God. You look and become one with that word and that understanding. Never ever fashion anything to your own liking. Don't try to come to your own understanding. Or let me try to understand this myself. No, you understand it spiritually by the Lord. And how do you do that spiritually by the Lord? You sit down and you see the Lord's point of view, His characteristics and His actions. That's what you do when you discern and become one with it. You take on how He's looking at it, His feelings and His emotions. So with that being said, we see in Deuteronomy 23:22, in his book, it actually said, if one of the bastards shall enter into the assembly of the Lord, that not one of the bastards shall even enter into the assembly of the Lord, not even to the 10th generation. None of his descendants shall enter in the assembly of the Lord. Now, if we go, because it has bastard in the King James and bastard, whatever, but it didn't. It said, none of the illegitimate sons. None of the sons that he has cut off. Not anybody that has anything to do with the Lord or anything like that. Okay? So bam, now we go to the Tanakh. This right here is the Hebrew Tanakh. Let's see what this says. No one who has tests or crushed testes, which is means balls. No one who has balls are, no one whose balls are crushed, testes it says, or whose member is cut off, meaning your thing, all right, cut off, shall be admitted into the generation of the Lord. Do you understand that difference? The bastard, this, the illegitimate son, in the regular English one, and then yet the bastard in King James. Now in the Tanakh, is letting you know, not just one, but two. Do you see how the literature will change you up? So once you become spiritual with the word of God, and this is from the Old Testament, Deuteronomy, then you start to see the truth by coming into one. So don't let the literature, don't let the literature of one of the other books and what they say trick you up if it's not spiritually connected and on that path. All right, do not think of it in a worldly way. First, look at it and discern it in a spiritual way, the way which will tie into a worldly way. All right, and get out of the rhetoric of what a lot of the literature says. We have 3 different meanings, all right, coming out for one word. But if you go back to the original, it gives you what it actually means.